Hello everyone, and welcome back to our channel. Today, we're diving into the essential topic of how to determine the perfect time to harvest potatoes in September. Harvesting potatoes at the right moment is critical for ensuring a bountiful yield and successful long-term storage throughout the winter. If you harvest too early, you'll end up with immature tubers that lack flavor and won't store well. On the other hand, waiting too long can expose your potatoes to rain or frost, leading to rot or damage. Getting the timing right maximizes quality, taste, and shelf life of your crop, ensuring your potatoes stay fresh and delicious for months. In this video, I'll walk you through several key indicators to help you pinpoint the ideal harvest time, including some lesser-known tips to ensure your potatoes are ready for storage. We'll cover the condition of the foliage, the firmness of potato skin, planting and weather conditions, and additional signs like soil texture and tuber appearance. Plus, I'll share extra tips to make your harvest as successful as possible. Let's get started. One of the first additional signs to look for is the texture and condition of the soil around your potato plants. As potatoes reach maturity, the soil above the tubers often becomes looser because the plant's root system starts to slow down and the growth process winds down. If you notice that the soil is crumbly or the top layer feels dry and loose when you gently dig around the plant, it's a good indication that the tubers have stopped growing and are ready for harvest. This loosening of the soil is a subtle but reliable clue, especially when combined with other signs. Another helpful indicator is the appearance and size of the tubers themselves. If you carefully dig up a test tuber, mature potatoes will have a uniform size typical of the variety you're growing, with a smooth surface free of green patches. Green spots on potatoes indicate exposure to sunlight, which can happen if the tubers are too close to the surface or if they're not fully mature. These green areas contain solanine, a compound that can make potatoes bitter and unsafe to eat in large quantities. Checking the soil and tuber appearance gives you a fuller picture of whether your potatoes are ready to be harvested, ensuring you don't pull them too soon. Another lesser-known tip is to observe the behavior of pests or wildlife around your potato patch. As the plants mature and the foliage begins to die back, pests like potato beetles or rodents may become less active around the plants, as there's less green material for them to feed on. If you've noticed a significant decrease in pest activity, it could be a sign that the plant has completed its growth cycle and the tubers are ready. This isn't a primary indicator, but it's a useful secondary clue to confirm other signs. Additionally, you can check the base of the plant where the stem meets the soil. In mature plants, this area often becomes woody or hardened, signaling that the plant is no longer sending nutrients to the tubers. These extra indicators, while subtle, can help fine-tune your decision on when to harvest, especially if you're dealing with variable weather or unfamiliar potato varieties. Now, let's move to one of the most obvious signs: the condition of the potato plant's foliage or the above-ground green parts. When potatoes reach maturity, the foliage starts to yellow, dry out, and collapse toward the ground. This is a clear sign that the plant has finished growing and the tubers have reached their full size and maturity. If the foliage is still green and vigorous, the tubers are likely still developing, and harvesting at this stage could result in smaller, less mature potatoes. In some cases, particularly with late-season varieties or when you want to speed up the process, you can mow or cut back the foliage a couple weeks before harvesting. Cutting the foliage helps the tubers develop a thicker skin, which is crucial for storage. Typically, you mow the foliage when it's already partially dried, about 10 to 14 days before digging up the potatoes, to allow the tubers to finalize their development. Observing the foliage is a natural and reliable way to gauge the plant's readiness, and timing the mowing correctly can significantly improve the quality of your yield. Next, we'll talk about the firmness of the potato skin, which is critical for long-term storage. Mature potatoes develop a thick, sturdy skin that protects the tuber from physical damage, diseases, and moisture loss during storage. To check if the skin is ready, Gently dig up 1 or 2 test tubers and rub the skin with your finger. If the skin peels off easily, the potatoes aren't ready yet, as immature skin makes them more vulnerable to bruising and rot. However, if the skin is firm and doesn't rub off, it's a strong sign that the potatoes are mature and ready for harvest. This firmness ensures the tubers can withstand handling during harvest and resist diseases like blight or rot during storage. This simple test is vital because it confirms that your crop is not only abundant, but also durable enough to last through the winter months without losing quality. Another key factor to consider is the planting timeline and weather conditions, which play a significant role in determining the best harvest time. Different potato varieties have different maturation periods. Early varieties like Adirondack Blue may be ready for harvest 90 to 100 days after planting, often as early as August. Late varieties, such as Russet, might need 120 days or more, pushing the harvest into September or early October. Knowing the specific variety you're growing is essential for timing your harvest accurately. You can check the seed packet or supplier information for the expected days to maturity. Weather conditions are equally important. Harvesting potatoes in dry weather is critical because wet soil can cause dirt to stick to the tubers, increasing the risk of rot during storage. If rain or cold weather is forecasted, it's best to harvest before the soil becomes too wet or temperatures drop below freezing. After harvesting, let the potatoes dry in a dry, well-ventilated area for a few hours before storing them to further reduce the risk of spoilage. Combining knowledge of your variety's timeline with careful monitoring of the weather ensures you plan your harvest for the optimal moment, maximizing both the quantity and quality of your yield. Beyond these main indicators, there are a few additional tips to enhance your harvest and storage success. First, consider the health of the plants throughout the growing season. If you've noticed signs of disease, such as late blight, harvesting earlier rather than later can prevent the disease from spreading to the tubers. Look for dark spots or a powdery coating on the foliage, and if present, harvest promptly and inspect the tubers carefully. Second, avoid watering your potato plants for about 2 weeks before harvesting, as this encourages the skin to toughen up and prepares the tubers for storage. Third, when digging up your potatoes, use a garden fork or shovel carefully to avoid piercing the tubers, as damaged potatoes are more prone to rot. Finally, after harvesting, sort your potatoes and store only the healthiest, undamaged ones in a cool, dark, and well-ventilated place, ideally between 4 to 7 degrees Celsius, 40 to 45 degrees Fahrenheit. Avoid storing potatoes near apples or other fruits that release ethylene gas, as this can cause sprouting. If you found this video helpful, please give a thumbs up, subscribe, and share your own potato harvesting experiences in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.